My gorgeous friends, today let's get to mastering content marketing. And we're going to start with the power of content. In this really just evolving digital age, the way businesses and consumers interact is constantly shifting. So, this technology that has paved the way for a more direct and dynamic connection between brands and audience, this is the technology we want to use. And truthfully, unlike this past consumption of traditional advertising, the modern digital consumer, they're actively seeking out information. They're actively looking for insights. They are actively looking for value. You know that from your own experience. If a content is not valuable to you in some way or another, whether it's making you laugh or it's really having you connect with your humanity or anything else of that sort, you will most likely let that content go. So, other people, the rest of the world is also looking for that same information, insight, and value. And that, my friends, brings us to the significant rise of consumer demand and valuable content. Truthfully, gone are the days when simple advertising sufficed. It's no longer there. Today's discerning consumer, they expect more than just a product information. They desire this content that educates. They desire content that entertains and enriches their lives. Whether this is like a well-researched article, an engaging video tutorial, an enlightening podcast, the content has become the primary driver in influencing purchasing decisions and brand loyalty. But here's something to keep in mind. The power of content is not solely about satisfying immediate customer needs. It's actually in for the long haul. So, when done right, content serves as a potent tool for establishing authority in the market. So you have brands that are consistently producing high quality content. They position themselves as the experts in the field, whether it's just a person branding themselves as the expert or a brand trying to establish authority and trying to say that they are the thought leader for their respective industry. Either way, what happens when they're creating this high quality content is that their authority, it doesn't just attract consumers, it also builds trust. So over time, trusted brands enjoy the benefit of customer loyalty. They enjoy the benefit of word of mouth, of referrals, of a competitive edge in the marketplace. So, and that is the power of content. It's not about the moment. It is not about right now. It is a game that you play in the long haul. And to play that game, we have to define what content marketing is. I can tell you, at its core, content marketing, it revolves around the creation and sharing of online material. And this material, it can take various forms. It can be a written article, an ebook, an infographic, a video, podcast, a webinar. Whatever the case is, it is content. And unlike that traditional advertising methods that overly promotes a product or service, content marketing focuses on providing value to the audience. It focuses on addressing their needs, being involved in their interests, and at times really just challenging them. The primary goal of content marketing is truthfully to drive interest in a brand or a product. However, something to keep in mind, this isn't interest that is ignited through aggressive sales tactics or direct promotions. Instead, this content marketing seed, what they do when they plant that seed is to try to attract and engage audience by offering relevant and insightful, valuable solutions, sometimes entertaining solutions to their respective audience. And when you plant that seed, over time, that seeds begin to grow. And that's when it becomes fruitful. So if you know anything about gardening, you know that you're not eating a cucumber the day you plant it, and it takes a while for it to grow. This is something very similar to that. So over time, this consistent delivery of value, it builds a relationship between the brand and its audience. If you've ever followed someone on Instagram or on social media for a while, you feel like you know that person. And you feel like there's a relationship between you and that person just simply by interacting with their content. It may not be the case, right? They may not know who you are. You may not know them on a personal level, but that content really builds that relationship. And so, what sets content marketing apart really from any other form of marketing is this subtle approach to promotion. So, the concept is not to push a product or a service on the customer, it is instead to simulate interest by positioning the brand as a credible source of information or a trusted authority in a niche market. And so this indirect promotion, it builds a deeper level of trust. And as customers, they begin to see the brand not just as a business, and that's the hope, but also as a valuable partner in their journey. And this is kind of what I was talking about when we say, oh, well, you feel like you know that person, you feel like you know that brand. They become a partner in your journey. And so whether it's solving a problem that they're trying to do, or enhancing a skill, or simply just finding enjoyment, this is the power of that content marketing and truly just defining that for what it is. So we know what it is. We also want to know why. Why is it so important? So something to keep in mind is that in today's saturated digital landscape, standing out is more challenging than ever. If you've tried content marketing before, you know that. So, why should businesses prioritize content marketing amidst this myriad of marketing strategies available? First and foremost, content marketing increases visibility significantly. You have to think about it this way. In an age where consumers often begin their buying journey with a simple search query, producing content and valuable content, not just content, producing valuably and producing it consistently, it can improve the brand's search engine ranking. And that is something very, very, very important. So when your customer, your desired customer is searching for a content, the SEO or the crawlers on the websites like Google search engines and things of that sort, they have your databases. They have crawlers that have gone on your website. They've categorized your information and put it into buckets. So when people are asking, these are the buckets that they're going to pull from. So consistent quality in content and valuable quality in content, they both increase visibility. And beyond just that visibility, content marketing, it just plays a pivotal role in establishing trust and authority. And so with the vast amount of information available online, consumers, they really just became more discerning about their source of information. They're not just going to trust anyone out there. They want an established and trusted authority. And by offering a well-researched, a relevant and consistent content, your brand can position itself as the expert in the field, or you as a person if you're doing this for your own self. And over time, these expertise they foster trust. People then begin to trust that person as a reliable source of information, or that brand as a reliable source of information and authority. Right now, if you look at the marketplace, you will see a great shift from people just trusting networks for journalism to trusting independent journalists, where they get their source of information from the person that they trust because they've lost trust in the network. And so this is something that happens as a result of content marketing. The other thing is that marketing strategies, they usually require the substantial budget for advertising, whereas content marketing, it really just stands out as the most cost-effective way to generate leads. And so creating valuable content, it requires an initial investment of time and resources, but once it's produced, it's produced. It can be online, it can continue to attract and engage potential customers for an extended period of time. So, as content marketing often targets users who are actively seeking information for the solution, for information or solution for their problem, it will then tend to attract higher quality leads because they are looking for answers and you have that answer. So your content has to either be fixated on passion, right? Something that people are passionate about, or solving a problem. So, needless to say, or something to keep in the back of your mind, content marketing is not going anywhere. It's not a buzzword. It's not like this a buzzword. It is a strategic approach that offers tangible benefits. You just have to keep in mind that that takes time. And I believe that according to the Content Marketing Institute, that takes about 18 months for you to start seeing. And that sounds scary, but it is the start. And paired with other things, other strategies, you can then begin to build as you should. The following step is really just laying the groundwork. And if you want to embark on this journey of content marketing without a plan, it's very similar to you sailing without a compass. You don't want to do that. Effective marketing, it requires a robust foundation. And that robust foundation ensures that every piece of the content created aligns with the brand's goals and it resonates with its intended audience. It has to be specific. There has to be a groundwork there. So let's take a little bit of a trip and delve into these essential steps so that you who are listening to this can lay down the groundwork. At the heart of any successful content marketing strategy is the importance of defining your target audience. I cannot stress that one enough. Define your target audience. You have to do that. So before any content is produced, before it goes viral, before any of that, it is vital to understand who you are speaking to. And that involves creating detailed audience personas. And these audience personas, what they are is a representation of your ideal customer. This is a complete representation of them. You want to complete their demographics, their interests, their challenges, even their behavioral pattern, because this will allow you to comprehend the nuances of your audience. And then you can tailor that content to address their specific needs, their pain points, their desires, and that ensures a greater relevance and engagement. You know who you're speaking to, you can get the message across. If you don't know who you're speaking to, you cannot get the message across. You can have someone in a classroom that learns a different way from the person next to them. And the teacher then has to take her messaging or his messaging and change that depending on the student that is in front of them. Even though the information is the same, the messaging is different. And that is the same with content marketing. If you know your audience, if you've defined your audience, then you can do that. So once you have that clear understanding of your audience, the next step is to set clear objectives. What do you hope to achieve with your content marketing effort? Whether it's increasing website traffic, boosting brand awareness, driving sales, fostering consumer loyalty. Having a definite goal, it ensures that every content piece created has a purpose. And these objectives not only guide content creation, but they also provide a direction for optimization and refining strategies as you progress. So make sure you have your goals very clear and your objectives very clearly set. Another crucial component that you need while laying the groundwork is putting mechanisms in place for measuring success. Without metrics, it is nearly impossible to gauge the effectiveness of your content. And you have to have, if it's not measurable, it doesn't exist. So you have to have key performance indicators that includes metrics like engagement rates, conversion rates, website visits, social media shares. And regularly monitoring and analyzing these metrics, it ensures that your content marketing remains agile, and that allows for timely adjustments to optimize the results. If you cannot track the results, you cannot optimize them. If you cannot optimize them, you cannot move forward. You have to have KPIs, key performance indicators. You have to have a way to measure that um, that content, because content, truthfully, is very hard to measure. Your content also has to be relevant. Relevance is key. So, again, in this vast sea of online content, how does your content measure up against everything else? Is it just a drop in the ocean? The answer lies in relevance. So, crafting content that is timely, resonates with the audience, and serves a purpose, it can significantly elevate its impact. Yes, it's not that easy. But once you get the hang of it, once you understand your audience, once you have your objectives set, that's why we do them at the beginning, then it becomes easier to find something that is relevant and figure out how to achieve it. First and foremost, to be able to achieve this, your content should aim to solve an audience pain point. Again, it can focus on a passion, but truthfully, you want to focus on a pain point. By understanding the challenges, the questions that people have, or even the dilemmas that your target audience is facing, you can tailor your content to provide solutions. They can provide answers, and they can provide guidance. How many times have you looked up, how do you do X, Y, and Z? Right? That's your content. That's your guidance. And that is done through your content. And so when your content serves as a remedy to the user's problems or fulfills their need, it not only attracts their attention, but also positions your brand as a valuable resource that they can turn to time and time again. That's where you want to be. So you want to have that, solve their pain points, and keep up with the current trend. And that is a very crucial aspect of ensuring content relevance. Trends reflect shifts in consumer behaviors. It's not just about that trending video that's emerging on TikTok. It is really just reflective of how people are changing their behavior, what kind of technologies are emerging, and what kind of broader societal changes are happening that you need to be aware of. And so by aligning your content with the trends, you ensure that it resonates with the best content out there so that it is sought out and it is shared. And this involves creating content around trending topics in your industry, around popular cultural events, or even global happenings that relate to your brand and product. The other thing that you want to keep in mind when we're talking about relevance is utilizing keyword search tools. What these tools do is they help you identify the terms, the questions, and the topics that your target audience is actively searching for. And by integrating these content or keywords into your content, you don't just increase your discoverability on search engine, but you also ensures that that content aligned with the genuine interest and query of your audience. So it is essential to produce high quality, well-researched content. It is equally critical to ensure that this content is relevant by addressing audience pain point, staying updated with their current trends, and harnessing the power of keyword search. That being said, your content has to also be unique. Consumers nowadays, they are bombarded with a lot of content. And within that overflow, it is the unique and authentic voices that manage to cut through that noise. That's where you want to be. A brand can ensure their content doesn't get lost in the shuffle by doing that by being unique and figuring out ways to achieve it. And so, at the forefront of creating an impactful content is the challenge of standing out in a crowded market. It's not enough to merely produce content, it must possess a distinctive qualities that sets it apart from the competition. And this could be in the form of a novel format. It can be an innovative approach. It could be a quirky brand voice, whatever the case is. Make it unique, make it your own, make it authentic as well. So with uniqueness comes authenticity. The brands that become that cornerstone in the market or in building trust are authentic. Consumers today, they are discerning the value of the brand and they need the brand to be transparent. In today's age, it is not a good idea. It never was it a good idea to lie to your customer base. However, it's not as easy to hide things. And so consumers have this power of technology and they can find out information relatively quickly. So you have to be transparent. You have to be genuine and you have to be true to your word. And that means going beyond the superficial promotional tactics and really delving into this genuine storytelling. If you want to be a content writer, you have to be a storyteller. And you have to maybe share the behind the scene glimpses, addressing real world issues. When when their content feels authentic, it creates a deeper connection with the audience. And it engages customer trust and loyalty. One way that you can do that is by providing or exploring unique angles and perspective. So instead of just rehashing the same topics that everyone else is talking about, brands can take that topic and they can delve deeper, approach the issue from a fresh viewpoint, or maybe highlight a lesser known aspect. This methodology not only provides the value to the audience, but also positions the brand as a thought leader rather than a thought follower. It pioneers new directions and insights in the field. And having these ideas, these uniqueness, you don't just want to keep them there, you want to bring your ideas to life. And so creating content is not merely about presenting information, it's about a crafted experience for the audience. To transform an idea to an impactful content, one must really pay attention to its format. And not just the format, but also the frequency and the finesse. So those sounds like big words, right? I don't know. I really like the word finesse. It just sounds cool. Anyways, let's delve into how these factors can really breathe life into your content. Ready? Let's do this. So, an idea that you have, it can be expressed in a myriad of ways. And choosing the right format, it really plays a pivotal role in its effectiveness. Should it be a detailed blog that delves deep into a topic? Or would a short, engaging video captures the essence better? You have to evaluate these things. Or maybe a visually compelling infographic might just convey the information, it convey the data, and it's just a ton more effective. The choice largely depends on the nature of the content, the target audience's preference, and the platform where it would be shared. If you're sharing it on YouTube, you probably don't want to use an infographic, right? That's simple. But that is surface level. So really, to delve into it, you have to understand where your audience spends their time, how they consume content, and how that consumption of that content can guide their decisions, ensuring that the idea is presented in the most digestible and engaging manner. The other very important thing is consistently publishing. You want to create an engaging content, you want to bring it to life, it has to be repetitive. So regular content update not only keep the audience engaged, but it also establishes the brand as a reliable source of information. Consistency doesn't apply bombarding the audience with a daily update, but rather really just setting a schedule that can be maintained over time. Whether it's a weekly blog or a monthly video series, when someone knows when to expect your content, it fosters a sense of anticipation and trust among the audience member. So, if they know you're publishing on Fridays, keep it on Fridays. If you're going to change that, update people, let them know. Last thing you want to know, yes, you want to constantly publish, but quality over quantity. If it takes you a month to produce a really good video, then make your consistency once a month. And that should have to be your mantra, quality over quantity. It might be tempting to produce content in bulk just to kind of like maintain a regular schedule. And that might work depending on the situation that you're in. But if it's not good quality, then you don't want it to be there. Subpar content can quickly deter an audience and tarnish the brand's reputation. It is really better to produce fewer pieces of higher caliber content that really resonates with the audience rather than just churning out a high volume of mediocre content. Okay? Keep that in mind. Now, again, your content doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be get started. It gets better over time. This is why we stop, we evaluate. This is why we have key metric or KPIs, key performance indicators, because we can get to know the content a little bit better and how the audience is interacting with that content. You have the idea, you want to bring it to life, you have to be a storyteller. So you have to create a narrative and you have to craft a really good narrative. Stories captivate. That's the truth. Cavemen and women sat around the campfires and told stories. Stories is an art, and that art, again, is not going anywhere. So crafting a compelling narrative is an art that really elevates your content from mere information dissemination to a memorable experience. At the very core of powerful narrative is the ability to form an emotional connection with the audience. We are inherently wired to respond to emotions. If that is joy, sorrow, excitement, or curiosity, it doesn't matter. When content resonates on an emotional level, it becomes memorable and impactful. And so this connection, it fosters a bond between the brand and its audience, and it makes the messaging more persuasive and more reliable. The golden rule in content creation or in crafting a narrative is show, don't tell. Instead of merely listing facts or stating points, paint a picture with words. Use visuals or sounds. So, for instance, rather than saying our product saves time, we can illustrate a day in the life of a user before using the product and after using the product. And that highlights the newfound leisure or productivity and their enjoyment. And so such a descriptive approach allows the audience to visualize the benefits and making the message more tangible and compelling. Relatable characters and situations are also at the heart of narrative, and that it really lives in the connection of relatability. When an audience sees themselves in a story or identifies with a character, with the character's challenges or triumphs, the message becomes personal. It's essential to craft a character and scenario that mirrors the target audience's experiences, their aspirations, their dilemma. Their narrative needs to be tailored to them. So it's not about weaving tales, but about representing content in a way that resonates, that engages, and remains etched in the audience's mind. That is what crafting a great narrative has. To make that narrative a lot better, you have to have it be engaging visually. Again, this age that we're living, it lives or thrives on fleeting attention spans. So visual appeal isn't just an afterthought. It is often the first point of engagement. So a harmonious blend of content and design can transform a simple message into a compelling visual story. There are nuances of visual engagement and that can amplify your content. And so let's take a quick look at it. So instead of saying, don't judge the book by its cover, while that may be idealistic, that's not the case in digital realms. The first impression often hinges on design. In the digital world, you judge the book by its cover. So the importance of good design cannot be overstated. A well-designed piece not only captures the attention, but also guides the viewers through content, and it ensures that key messages are highlighted and absorbed. Good design, it enhances readability. It makes it easier for audience to engage with and understand your content. So you may be using text, and text can be used to inform. Using images and infographic can make that text stand out. And well-chosen images, they can encapsulate the story. They can evoke emotions. They can provide context, and often more effectively than a paragraph or a text. That's the reality. Infographics, on the other hand, they distill complex data and have it digestible visual chunks. That's what they do. They break it up so that you can see it, so that I can see it, so that it becomes easier for everyone to grasp the intricate concept or trend. So by strategically integrating images and infographics, content creators can enhance comprehension, retention, and engagement. The next thing that you have to keep in mind while working on visuals is the importance of the color psychology. And it is really just a fascinating aspect to consider because colors aren't merely aesthetic choices, they evoke specific emotions and perceptions. For instance, blue is often instilled, it really conveys trust and calmness. Red can signify passion or urgency. Green is associated with growth and tranquility. And by understanding and harnessing color psychology, brands can subtly steer audience emotions and reactions, making the content more persuasive and impactful. Visual marketing, visually engaging is beautiful. But you also have to make your content search friendly. And that means having the basics of SEOs, search engine optimizations. Added to basic, you have to start with the elements like keywords, like meta descriptions, and a little bit more of things along those lines. Keywords in terms of, so it's not just about making your content pretty, you also have to make sure that it is searchable. Keywords are the keywords and phrases that are used or typed into a search engine so that they can find your content. And by integrating relevant keywords into your content, you increase the likelihood of it ranking higher on search engine results pages. And that would be like the top, 3 or 4 on Google. That's where you want to be, right? That boosts visibility. But you have to know it's not about just stuffing content with keywords. It is about seamlessly weaving them into content so that it remains valuable and it remains readable and it remains beautiful, but just in a way that is organized and structured for search engines to understand it and to see it. That means at some point you have to make sure that your headings are labeled as H1, H2, H3, however what way you are structuring your writing or your content, so that the search engine can read that. Or the descriptions, the metadata, the alternate descriptions to your videos are there and available so that search engines can know what your video or content is about. So as the world increases to mobile, right, to phones, everyone's on their phone all the time. You have to make sure that it is optimized for phones as well. So that is a non-negotiable for your content. It has to be search friendly. And for it to be search friendly, it has to be designed to be adaptable on both the computer and on the phones or tablets or whatever. Lastly, your user experience is very important. And user experience, it determines how long the users stay engaged. So you have to create, so your content is not just about the messaging, that is the bulk of it, but also there's the technical aspect of it. And this is it. You have to design your content with user experience in mind. Without the user, the content is null. You need the user to use that content. So you have to make content search friendly, not just technically, but holistically approach it so that it encompasses the quality, the content quality, the design, and the user experience. We derailed a little bit from the design, but we have to come back to content. And content, again, you have to keep it fresh. One of the most effective way to keep your content fresh so that it's has this new life is to repurpose and update old articles. The cool thing is that you don't always have to create new content. You can take your old content, you could repurpose it, you can update your articles, and you can move on in that way. So that is one of the best things. So an article that was written a few years back might still have valuable insights, but it can contain certain statistics or references that might be outdated. What you want to do is you want to update these elements, adding a bit of new information and perhaps adjusting the format so that the old content can gain renewed relevance. Keep your content fresh. You don't have to recreate it. You can reuse, repurpose, reduce, reuse, recycle also works for content. And in this fast-paced world of internet, staying relevant and accurate, it is paramount. So trends change, new searches emerges, and audience preferences evolve. Content that doesn't adapt risks becoming obsolete. So what you want to do is not just post your videos, you also want to review and adjust your content to reflect current events, new discoveries, and emerging trends that ensure that it continues to provide the value for audience as it remains a trusted source. So imagine this. Let's say you've done interviews for the past 2 years, and these interviews were 9:16 format. You're shooting a normal video, and that video goes on YouTube. But now there is a rise in TikTok. There's a rise in Reels. There's a rise in different formats of videos. What you can do is instead of chopping the video into smaller pieces, you can resize it so that it fits the new dimensions. And that way, you can re-edit it, reuse it, repurpose it, and it keeps your content relevant and it keeps it accurate and it keeps with the trend. So if you post it as what it is, it may become obsolete. This isn't what people are watching anymore. This isn't what they're used to. So you change it, you take your content for what it is, and you freshen it up, you repurpose it, you make sure that it stays relevant and accurate, and you continuously improve it so that it becomes better and better and better over time. What that means that if you're taking a normal video and you're chopping it up and you're resizing it, it means now you can use different angles. And that's a pretty cool thing. At least I like to think. With content also, you don't just want to create it, you want to share it. So one piece of content is crafted to perfection. Once you have that, once you're ready to share it with the world. Again, I don't think every piece of content needs to be perfect. I think you should test it out multiple times, fix, renew, do better. The next challenge after you do that, after you have your piece of content ready enough for you to share, the next challenge is ensuring that it reaches the intended audience. So simply creating content, it doesn't guarantee engagement. It is the strategic dimensions of this content that applies its reach and impact. You can do that by choosing the right channels. So every platform that is out there, it attracts a specific demographic. Sure, it seems like the entire world is on Instagram or on TikTok or on Facebook or whatever the case is, or on Twitter, which is no longer called Twitter, but nevertheless, it may seem that that's the case, but it really does attract a specific demographic, and it really does have its own user behavior, and it offers a unique way of engagement. So brands, what they do is they must analyze their target audience and how much time they spend on each platform, where they spend their time online, and what content they consume and they are engaged with. And this analysis ensures that content is not only shared on a platform where it gains traction, but is presented in a way that appeals to the platform's specific needs. So you have to have the social media, the email marketing, and the guest posting, let's say, of one particular content. So let's say you have a piece of content that you created, you want to share it on social media, you also want it email marketing, and you want guest posting. Again, it goes back to our example of a student in a classroom. If we have these two students, it's the same information, it's just the way we are communicating that information is what differs. So social media platforms, with their vast user base, they often offer an unparalleled opportunity for brands to engage directly with their audience. It offers an opportunity to spark conversation and drive organic traffic. And that means that that content has to look a little bit different for social media. Whereas email marketing, while again, you're conveying the same conversation or the information, it is more personalized avenue. And that allows a brand to reach their audience directly in their inbox with curated content. The last thing that you have is guest posting, where content is published on a third-party website or a blog, or it could be a shout out on a social media platform where an influencer is shouting out your business. And the idea is not only increase the reach, but also establish authority in a particular domain. So that is in terms of spreading the word of your content. The next thing you want to do is you want to boost visibility. And again, creating content in today's world is not enough. Your content has to have a meaningful impact. So it needs to be seen by the right people at the right time. And while these methods have metrics or paid searches, they can provide the necessary boost to ensure that your content cuts through the noise. So sometimes you want to boost your content. You want to pay for more people to see your content. And you can do that through social media advertising, right? You can pay on social media to have your content being boosted, like platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all these, including TikToks and things like that. They all offer a way to advertise on their platform, which means that they just boost your content. They show it to more people. If your content is good, more people will engage with it. So this is something you have to discern. You have to make sure that the content you are creating is good. And another, an effective approach is to sponsored content. And that means that you pay a third-party platform, usually influencers online, or maybe a popular blog or an online publication, to host and promote your content. And so what you need to do in that case is you have to ensure that the content aligns with the platform's editorial standards and you have to make sure that it aligns with what they say. And that's one way to enter into that marketplace. And the last thing is pay per click, which is not necessarily used for content per se, but it can be. If you have an incredible blog that you want that really is driving traffic and you think it's the most beneficial blog out there that will bring people to you as the authority on the page, you can use pay per click so that you can grow your trust and brand loyalty. You have all these things. The last thing you want to do, you want to make sure that you have measuring success. You want to make sure that you are measuring with key performance indicators, whether it's engagement, conversion, reach, any of that stuff is very, very important. Engagement measures how users interact with your content. That could be likes, share, comments, or time spent on the page. Then you have conversion, which refers to the percentage of users who take a desired action, like signing up for a newsletter, downloading a resource, or making a purchase. And lastly, we have reach, and reach qualifies the total number of users who have seen the content, and that helps the brand understand their potential audience size. Another thing is that you have analytics tools like Google Analytics and so forth that will help you understand and measure your success. Before we end digital market, or before we end content marketing, we have to take a look at the pitfalls in content marketing. And while content marketing, it really offers a vast potential for brands to engage with their audience and build that trust and drive conversions, it is also a field riddled with potential missteps. So a misaligned strategy or a misjudgment can reduce the effectiveness of content or even counteract its benefits. First and foremost, not understanding the audience, a huge problem. Content should resonate with its intended recipient. It should address their needs. It should address their interests, and it should gauge their pain points. And without that deep understanding, it doesn't work. Another frequent mistake is ignoring feedback. Feedback, whether it is positive or negative, it is a gold mine of insight. I cannot stress that enough. It provides real-world reactions to content, and it tells you what's working and what isn't working. And sometimes negative feedback can hurt your pride. It does. It's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Where did that come from? But at its basics, after taking away all that mean stuff that was said, you can really look into it and say, oh, I get it. I can see where I can fix 5%. Maybe the comment is 30% negative, but you take it, you evaluate it, you see how true it is, and you speak with authenticity to yourself, genuineness to yourself, reevaluate your content, and hopefully maybe improve only about 5% if that is what you think it should be improved from that 30. So keep that in mind. And then the last pitfall that I want to talk about is focusing solely on sale pitches. It doesn't work. The ultimate goal is to convert into consumers, into clients, but content that is overly promotional can deter audience. And modern consumers are really savvy. They prefer a value-driven content that educates, entertains, and inspires. Nothing else. Keep that with you as you go on this journey. And lastly, stay up to date. Stay updated with the digital marketing landscape that is rapidly changing, not just with trends, but algorithm. So because technology is just changing all the time. So you have new platforms that are emerging. You have user preferences that are evolving. But here's the kicker. If you are aware of these trends, you can see that they've been happening. That change that seems to happen just overnight is not actually an overnight change. It's been years in the making. If you are up to date with the trends, with the market, not just the trend, not just the surface level, really deep into this, you would have seen it from miles away and you would have started integrating it from miles away as well. Stay up to date, not just with content, but also continuously do professional development. It really is crucial. And so sometimes, even if you're an expert in the field, take an online course. LinkedIn's full of them. Attend a workshop. Uh, do some reading on new publication. Knowledge is power. And in digital marketing, it is the power to adapt, to innovate, and to stay ahead. Lastly, engage with industry peers. They offer invaluable insight. Networking with professionals, joining industry forums, or attending conferences, regardless of the field that you're in, is so important because you speak the same language. You understand each other and you understand and can see and can tell what is happening when. And you can pick up on the little nuances if you are paying attention. Embrace the content era. This is the value of a lifelong, or not a lifelong, but a long-term commitment. It is not a one-off campaign. It is a sustainable effort. And it is just meant to build a brand loyalty. The audience is yours if you grow with them. There are people that have been watching or listening to my content, let's say, for years. Back in, I believe I started making content when I was 17. I'm not going to tell you. That's almost half my life. And there are people that have accompanied me on that journey and have grown with me. And there are people that are just joining that journey today. And so loyalty, loyal audience base. We grow together. They provide me with value, and I likewise provide them with value. And encourage your audience to start their content making journey. It is such a beautiful thing. All right, my beautiful, gorgeous people. That is it for today. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I will be with you in the next time. And until then, I'll see you.